Welcome to the Coffee Talk with P3 podcast, where we highlight local and regional nonprofits in the Southern California community. Let's listen in to today's guest on the Coffee Talk with P3 podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Coffee Talk with P3. I am John Peterson with P3 Theater Company, and I am here today with Douglas, and I don't know how to pronounce your last name. I can spell it.
Senecal.
Senecal, so just like it looks.
Just like it looks.
Douglas Senecal, the general manager of Musical Theater West.
That's right.
How are you?
I'm fantastic. Good to have you here.
Good to have you here, too.
Oh, my
I
pleasure.
love it. So, for those of you who may not know, and if you don't know, I don't know what rock you're living under, but Musical Theater West is probably the most renowned, in my opinion, theater company here in the Southland.
Thank you so much.
And you guys have been around for quite a while.
We're celebrating our 73rd season next year. 73rd season.
That's almost as old as my mom.
Oh, goodness. I was going to say it's almost as old as me, but thank you for going and getting your mom in there.
So before we get into Musical Theater West, let's talk a little bit about you.
Oh, goodness.
Have you always been in the arts, or?
I have. I started singing and dancing way back when it wasn't cool. In high school, I was singing and dancing and doing the talent shows and all of that stuff and enjoying it tremendously. And I won some scholarships, so that even egged me on a little bit more. And then I moved to the city and just got involved with Edmonton musical theater. And I've been hooked ever since. So yes, it just grew.
It's in the blood.
Into the career, yeah.
It's in the blood.
Made a career of it, yeah.
So how did you go from song and dance man to becoming involved with Musical Theater West?
Well, I worked with, I started my career singing and dancing on cruise ships, believe this or not. So I worked, that's fantastic. I worked for 20 years at sea and worked my way from stage singing and dancing up to production manager and then producer. I worked for a producer company in Los Angeles for 16 years.
Which company?
That was Stiletto Entertainment.
Yes,
exactly. So we worked with them. I was their producer of all. I think we had 25 ships at one point. It was no matter where we were in the world, I had a show opening that night.
Wow.
And it was pretty amazing to be able to get. The problem was that the calls would come in 24 hours a day. So 4:00 in the morning, I'm getting a call. I can't get on the ship in Bermuda here, or wherever it's going to be, and it was
all over the world.
All over the world, and I'd be okay. Let's figure it out, and I'd get online and solve problems. That's what producers do.
Yes.
So we make that happen. But I enjoyed that. And then when we finished with Stiletto Entertainment, I saw a note that Paul was looking for a general manager, operations manager. And literally, it's around the corner from my home. And I was like, boy, this would be such a better commute than what I'm doing right now. And I put my name in the hat, and he called me the next day and he says, hey, do you want to come in for an interview? And bada bing, bada boom. And I joined up in May of 2019, got the first show under my belt, and bam, the world shut down.
Oh my gosh.
So I was like, wait a minute. That's when we pivoted. We went into social media. We were doing game show nights. We were doing concerts because you could only have one person in the room. So we'd have a piano player over here, masked up completely in a hazmat suit, and a singer over there as far away as you could possibly have on a microphone without a mask. Mm-hmm. But they were, so far away. And we were doing these wonderful shows. And we tried to just stay relevant and get our patrons who supported us through the entire time. That was the amazing part.
Yeah.
Musical Theater West, my hat is off to the donors and the patrons that support this. Through the entire pandemic, we had a program called Keep the Lights On. And we had people continue to donate to us throughout the whole time, even though we couldn't do a show. And they kept the lights on. We didn't have to lay off a single person the entire time. That's how strong
wonderful.
These donors are.
Wow.
I mean, thank you. We are so very blessed by the patrons that we have with Musical Theater West.
And that says something about the reputation of your theater company as well, because
people,
particularly through COVID, they weren't willing to just hand out money to just anybody.
No.
Because we were so uncertain of the future. So,
everyone, it's going to be a month long. We can do it in 2 months, and then 3 months.
That.
Oh my gosh. But to his credit, Paul Garman, our executive director, Paul Garman, just said, you know what? We have these people. Let's reach out to our patrons and see if they'll support us. And they came through in spades. We were so amazed. It was just terrific.
That is fantastic.
Here we are joining Long Beach Gives to get some more donations. But hey, that's what we do. I'm sorry. We are
That transition when COVID first started, we had just opened our theater 6
I
months
remember.
before.
I went to see Evita there.
Yes.
Oh my gosh,
Oh.
fun shows.
It was, we had 3 great shows and then bam. But that, you know, as someone who's not a spring chicken anymore, going from the world, and relevancy was really what I was trying to focus on,
Yeah.
because we had hit the community with a splash. But relevancy, we all have to keep our names out there so people don't forget
All
who
the
we
time.
are.
Exactly. That's part of the game.
But the technology behind that relevancy was a challenge.
Oh man.
Especially musicals.
We turned our big rehearsal studio into a recording studio, a sound studio. We put up the pipe and drape all the way around. We had the cameras, a 3-camera shoot every time, piano in one corner, singer in the other corner, and we would just do it. Every once in a while we did a social media thing where 3 people were actually what's that called? Locked down together. So they didn't have to worry about being social distance. It was great. It was Larry Rabin, David Elgin, and Bets Malone. And they did a video for us that was just bar none. It was great. They did it all over town. They did it in the studio because they weren't worried about being the social distancing thing.
Right.
They could hug and do a duet or a trio. It was fabulous. What a great season. Thank you guys for doing that. That was so wonderful. We appreciate that.
That speaks to the resilience of the arts.
The resilience and just the flexibility that, okay, we'll do it on video. We'll make this work. And they just jumped up and made it happen. So
that's I love those stories.
Yes.
I love those stories. So Musical Theater West, on top of doing amazing productions all throughout the year, you have an outstanding education program, arts education. I have heard about it so much, so I'm looking forward to hearing about it from the horse's mouth.
From the horse's mouth. Well, hopefully it's not the horse's backside, but that's okay. We are here. We've got, what I say is 8 programs that we do, but we've got multiple activities under each one. We're up to 17 individual activities that we do for our arts education. And what we're trying to do is reach students primarily with the magic of musical theater and just introducing them to the arts. One of the big things that got me on board Musical Theater West is our student matinee program. What we do is we will contact Long Beach Unified School District and we say, we're putting on the show. What this year it's going to be, Jersey Boys is not necessarily, it's more for high school, sorry. But we'll say, we'll bus all the kids in. We pay for the buses that will come in from Long Beach Unified School District. We pay for the actors to do the show. The cost is eliminated for Long Beach Unified School District. Everything that happens for that show is part of what we do as Musical Theater West.
Wow, that's tremendous.
That's where a lot of our fundraising comes in, is we're asking it to do for the kids. Is if we can introduce the art of musical theater to some of these kids, it changes their lives.
100%.
And to see these young kids, we did, oh my gosh, Little Mermaid. It was right before the pandemic. We did a student matinee, and we're busing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of kids. What the CPAC, where we perform, holds 1,000 people. Just figure it out, and then think of them all under the age of 7 or 7 to 12. And it's just the amazing part. And they've been locked up for whatever this is. We come out of the bus. This is their first field trip in several years. This is the first time they've been to an art facility. The first time they're walking into the Carpenter Performing Arts Center, which is a magnificent building.
Yes, it is.
These kids' eyes are just huge as they're walking around, and they're just agog. Then the lights go down and the music starts, and they are on the edge of their seats just watching, and they're sponging and all. It's amazing what they pick up, because we do a question and answer period after every show.
That's great.
And some of the questions are so fun.
Oh, I love them.
You know, and you're like, oh, I wouldn't have thought of that. But from their perspective, they're like, how did you do that? How did you know? Yeah. How did you learn all the lines? How did you know that? Who made your costume? All of these things, they pick up on all these little nuances. It's so fun. The other thing that we do is we take our productions to the schools.
Okay.
That's even more fun, because you're in their environment, and we're coming in with a professional troupe of singers and dancers, and they do 2 shows when they go out. They do what's that called, the elementary grades, and then the middle school. And then we'll bring that assembly does 1 show, which is all geared to them. We've got the California curriculum. We teach all of the lessons that we're supposed to do in those grade levels. But it's all done in a song and dance mode. So they're learning, but they're being entertained.
Yeah, they don't know they're learning.
They don't know they're learning because they're seeing a show and they're going, oh, here's this work. We've got one called Nuestra Casita. It's our little house. And it's about a restaurant that goes out of business because of a fire. And they try to circle together and build enough money to raise enough money so that they can fix the restaurant, so that the parents have a job, that the child can still have a family there together, they don't have to move away. Well, they've got these two little boys that are in the audience, and they're like just holding each other's hand, going, can they do it? Can they do it? And they were so invested in the game. And as they were doing the social, of course we talked about social media, so raising 10,000 and 11,000 and 12,000, they got to hit $20,000 or whatever the case may be. By the time they hit it, they're cheering and yet jumping up and down because they're so excited about the program that's going on. They have no idea that they're learning numbers, they're learning math, they're doing all this other stuff, but they're having a good time and they're getting a bug for arts.
That's amazing. I've done a lot of performances for youth before, and it is so fun. Like
it's
you
so
said,
rewarding.
They just become so invested on what's going on stage.
That is true.
And you mentioned the Q&A session afterwards.
Oh yeah.
One of my favorite questions. My jaw dropped when somebody. They must have been in maybe second or third grade. Hand up.
Mm-hmm.
How much did the lights cost? Who thinks of that when you're in second or third grade?
No, that's an astute person. That's great. That's a built-in producer right there.
Yes, it is. I'm like, he's already thinking about the dollar signs.
Making it work.
Amazing. So, wow. So, and you do all of these programs with the two you've mentioned so far at no cost to the schools or school districts.
No cost to the Long Beach Unified School District.
That's
if there
amazing.
are other surrounding communities, we will invite them in.
Mm-hmm.
They will have to pay a nominal fee. I think it's $5 a student. But we ask for sponsorship we get Port of Long Beach sponsors us, the City of Long Beach sponsors us to some degree, but most of this is from private donations that have come up through. But we have so many programs going on, 17 different things, from master classes to individual adult and senior classes. Thank you very much. We've got some of those going on as well.
I love it.
You know, you got to keep everyone happy and keep engaged.
Life doesn't stop when you hit adulthood.
And it introduces Musical Theater West to the community, and that's part of our big goal, is making sure that we are introducing everyone to Musical Theater West and what we do, and that we are a local producer. We are right here in Long Beach. We're not busing and trucking people into the Pantages.
Right.
We're not, getting a Broadway tour come through. We hire the local people. We are an employment magnet here. Mm-hmm. We hire between 95 to 100 people for every production, and we do 4 big productions every year. So it's a money-burning proposition.
Yes.
Especially if you're expecting tickets to come through and cover that whole thing. So we used to have the benefit of being about 75% ticket coverage and then 25% sponsorship. But things have shifted very extremely since inflation has happened. Mm-hmm. So we're down to, I would say, 60-40 now, 60% tickets, 40% donation that we're doing, depending on, and literally just to keep the lights on again. But we also provide all these programs for the students.
And those don't come cheap either.
They are expensive. Just the buses, the cost of the buses, bringing these kids in. And that's one of the most important parts, is just getting them there, getting them here. We used to cost $200 to $400 a bus. Now it's close to $1,000 a bus.
I've noticed.
So our bus budget has skyrocketed, and just to try and get them here. And unfortunately, that's not something you see on stage. You don't see that in stage, but it's a cost that is true to the production. But again, we are very blessed. We've got generous donors. That we just had our big fundraiser that. We don't even have the final number yet, because we're still tallying all the donations that have come in. Mm-hmm. But we were aiming to cover $200,000 for our student matinee programs and all of our student education outreach programs. We are hoping that will cover it, and we will continue. We'll continue, because it never stops, and especially when we've got Dana Leach, our education outreach administrator, just doing her thing, and she's always got, I got another program we can do, and she comes up with another one, and we got to figure out how we can fit it in the budget or where to do it. So I don't know how her head hasn't exploded yet with all of these things that she's going on.
She's passionate about it.
Passionate. Well, there it is. That's the word.
That's what
we
keeps
are
the skull
sharing
intact.
our passion for musical theater.
Yes.
That's what we do.
Wow. So the programs you talked about are ones that directly involve the LBUSD.
Yes.
What type of programming, if you wanted to highlight a couple of favorites of yours or ones that tend to stand out in the community, what types of programs are available to general community members who may want to get involved or have their kids involved?
General community members can join us in any of our classes, our master class things. We do an open seniors dance class. I think I mentioned that earlier, and it's not it's not a professional level. It's, hey, step touch, do this if you can, whatever you need to do. We'll get it to your level, whoever's there. But we want to invite everyone in because you have the sit and be fit class that do their own things. Well, we like to dance and do the Broadway dance steps. Get your heartbeat going, and that's for the higher level people. I want to say seniors, but we're saying 45 plus, so we get them in there. But we also would reach out to professional dancers. We have teachers from the Broadway caliber performers, and they come in and teach, and they'll teach our Broadway dancers here in Long Beach and Los Angeles. They come in from all over the place, and they have the professional classes. And then they also have the master classes for our students. So it opens to everyone. And it's our way of just opening up to the community. It's basically, as much as we can, we want to let Long Beach know that we're here, we're a part of the community, and we want to reflect the community as who we are.
That's one of the things I like to highlight whenever talking about local or regional theater is, sure, you can go get these fantastic shows at the Aunts and the Pantages, the Segerstrom Center, and those are great, don't get me wrong.
No, of course, they're fantastic.
But they don't touch the community from the inside.
Yeah.
They don't allow the community to experience one-on-one or firsthand the benefits of the arts, be it watching the arts, be it becoming involved in the arts, be it step touching, because that's all you're capable of doing, but you want to get up and move and you love theater.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's so important, and
we think so too. And I mean, I don't want to discount the MTW quality of the productions, because we do hire the Actors Equity performers and we hire professional performers. So they're all paid. They're all working very hard, and that's their career.
Yeah.
So that's what they're doing. But we also are hiring the stage managers, the stage techs behind the scenes. The orchestra is all down there. It's a live orchestra. We've had a 25-person orchestra for, I want to say, American in Paris. What a wonderful sound that was. It was just to hear Rhapsody in Blue with that whole thing. It was just amazing.
But there's nothing like live musicians. You can't.
And the sound is so different.
Yeah,
it's so distinct, and I love seeing the conductor up there, because we always have the downlight on them, so you see the baton. You may not see much more, but the baton is going, and the pit is just alive. It's just fantastic. One of the biggest things that gets me every time is the live musicians on the productions.
Yeah, and they don't come cheap either.
No.
For sure.
No, they don't. Especially when you have that many of them.
Yeah.
You've got an orchestra out there, and it's fabulous.
That's amazing. And then you've got administrative staff.
We do, and we've got I want to say 13 full-time staff. We've got 9 part-time that come in and out and help us out at the box office and all of our various productions that we've got going on. So we built that. We used to have 5 people on staff. So we have built it tremendously. Since I came on, we have, I think, doubled, if not quadrupled in size, just by bringing other people. And we're still looking for more people. We always have to find more people, because the bigger we get and the more we got going.
Yeah, you have to sustain that.
You have to have people, because we can't burn them out too fast.
And volunteers as well. Crucial.
We've got the best volunteers. We have 2 support groups. We've got the Footlighters, who are what we call the ladies who lunch. They have fundraisers for every show. And they have a luncheon thing that does, and we do a preview of the show prior to the performance. They come in and they have a luncheon, do the show, and they all just will make some donations. It's fabulous. But then we have what we call our fabulous guild, the MTW Guild. These are the ushers that are at every one of the theater, and they're in their black and white vests, and they stand there proudly. Yes, they're seniors, but they are so dedicated to us. It is unbelievable how hard they work, and we could not possibly do everything we do without that volunteer group, because they are giving their hours. When you figure out how much it would cost, even at minimum wage, for all the hours they put in, it's unbelievable. So we're blessed by these giving volunteers.
One of the things I love most about them as a patron of Musical Theater West is how they make you feel when you walk through those doors. Like every single person is so important.
Yes.
They welcome you. They cannot speak highly enough of Musical Theater West or the production. And it's infectious.
I'm so glad to hear that.
It's infectious.
We are so proud of them, and we hope that it reflects the other way around, because they're doing this out of their passion for musical theater and to support us. And we are again just loving what they do.
That's fantastic. So if people wanted to find out about anything about Musical Theater West, your productions, auditions, how to volunteer, all of the many educational workshops and all of that, how do they find that?
The best place to go is our brand new website, musical.org. So it's an easy one.
Easier than that.
It's an easy one to remember. Musical Theater West, musical.org.
You don't even have to remember how to spell theater.
No.
R-E or E-R.
Yeah, exactly. We took that out. Just musical. Bam. That's it.
That's right. Musical.org.
So, musical.org. They can check that out. You can get tickets to any of our shows. You can see how to get involved. You can see any one of the education outreach programs, and it's all in there. But I think we're working on the history, the archives, of making sure you can go all the way back to 1963 when we started to see if we can get some of the video. But I don't think we have that much from way back then. But we're building the archives on there. So we've got this new website that's got a lot more room on the servers.
That's so great.
We'll fill it up as quickly as possible.
As much as you can.
Yes, but that's where to go.
Cool.
I mean, yes. I know we put our story about there and how we're focusing on our education outreach programs, because that's where we need the most help, is reaching out to the students and the people of Long Beach.
Building the next generations.
Exactly.
Introducing them to the arts to continue the importance and benefits and amazingness of the arts.
Exactly. And arts build better citizens. That's the way I would look at it. It's you learn the camaraderie, you learn support, you learn the need for, okay, if I'm going to be doing this part, I got to depend on the other three people doing their part so that we can deliver it. It builds, like I said, better citizens.
Yes. Even if you're not in the arts as an entertainer or any aspect of that, if you're a patron of the arts, what you learn about history, about the community, about social impact. I mean, there's the topics in productions. They cover everything. There's no hold bars in theater. Everything is discussed.
And we had two of our shows this season were based on real life stories. One of them was $1 Million Quartet, the true story on December 4th, 1963, when Elvis, Johnny Cash, Carl Perkins, and Jerry Lee Lewis were in the same sound studio together.
Could you imagine?
You're watching the show and you're thinking, oh wow, how could this have made? And boom, at the end they drop the actual picture of the four guys there in the studio, and you're like, oh, this is history. But you're learning all of this stuff, again, like the student matinees. You don't know you're learning, you're just enjoying a show. But then we just finished Newsies, which was another one in 1899. They shut down these little boys and girls that were newsies, that were selling the newspapers all around New York, shut down the whole city because they went on strike. I'm like, hello. But the show is fantastic. I mean, it's a Disney production, so there's a lot of tear jerking. No, and they actually added a girl, so when the kids really, the kids at the student matinees were like, oh, whatever. They always react that way, but that's okay.
I love it.
That's a way to introduce them to another part.
Guess what's coming up, kids?
Kids, watch out!
Wow, go to musical.org to find out more information about Musical Theater West, about their educational programming, about their productions, about their seasons.
Fantastic. It would be great. We would really appreciate your support. Thanks for looking out for us.
Absolutely. We all got to stick together and get the community involved as well.
Yes, and reach out to them. We love Long Beach. That's why we're here, and we couldn't do it without you. Thank you.
For sure. So thank you, Doug, for being here today.
John, it's a pleasure.
It always is. And
love seeing you.
Thank you to our viewers. Thank you to everybody out there that supports whatever causes you like to support. All of us nonprofits need support to be able to give you guys.
And there's enough for everyone.
Thank you all for staying tuned, and we will catch you next time on Coffee Talk with P3.
To learn more about the Coffee Talk with P3 podcast and the nonprofit theater behind this podcast, go to the P3 Theater Company website at www.p3theater.biz. That's P3theatre.biz. And if you are a theater and arts nonprofit that would like to be highlighted on a Coffee Talk with P3 podcast, or you know a nonprofit that should be highlighted, please email me, John Peterson, at john@p3theater.biz. That's Jon John at p3theater.biz. We would love to start a conversation with you and your nonprofit. Looking forward to enjoying another coffee and discussion with you in the future. To learn more about the Coffee Talk with P3 podcast and the nonprofit theater behind this podcast, go to the P3 Theater Company website at www.p3theater.biz. That's P3theatre.biz. And if you are a theater and arts nonprofit that would like to be highlighted on a Coffee Talk with P3 podcast, or you know a nonprofit that should be highlighted, please email me, John Peterson, at john@p3theater.biz. That's Jon John at p3theater.biz. We would love to start a conversation with you and your nonprofit. Looking forward to enjoying another coffee and discussion with you in the future.